Now to do something like this for the S54 is about $200 per cylinder. S14 is similar. S14 has 4 cylinders, so you're looking at about $800 to $900 total for all that, including shipping. The way that I usually work is that the price that you see on the website includes shipping back to you, the finished product. You have to pay for shipping to me, and then I will pay for the shipping as part of the purchase price back to you. Lead time is about 4 to 6 weeks if you want the zinc coating. If you don't want the zinc coating, lead time is much shorter because I don't have to rely on a supplier to do that. That usually takes about 1 to 2 week turnaround. So yes, I'm going to be soliciting to you because I actually do perform S54, S14, S38, M88 throttle body restorations. We're going to be turning this S54 throttle body into this. We're going to be doing it 6 times. We're going to be replacing bearings. We're going to be cleaning up all the gunk out of these things, and we're going to be refurbishing them to like new. This is an example of a gunked up butterfly valve. This is bronze or brass, and this is incredibly gunked up. And this is actually a good example of what would cause an EML light on your dashboard to go off. Because what this gunk does is it's very sticky. And especially when you're off idle and you're just barely fluttering it, whether you're in cruise control or idle, it's going to gunk up the throttles. It's going to make it hard to move. And that creates a mismatch between the command from the throttle actuator and what's being read by the throttle potentiometer. That mismatch is going to cause that light to go off. Here's an example of a normal feeling throttle. No issues. No binding, no issues. This is the one throttle that actually does seem to have an issue, where it does bind on off throttle. It pulls a lot harder to get it up. Once it's up, it's okay, but once it gets back to idle, it's really hard to pull it. So there is a binding going on, like it's not grounding out or bottoming out on the set screw, which is not supposed to be modified. That is set from the factory for each of these specific castings. And especially when you're off idle and you're just barely fluttering it, whether you're in cruise control or idle, it's going to gunk up the throttles. It's going to make it hard to move. And that creates a mismatch between the command from the throttle actuator and what's being read by the throttle potentiometer. That mismatch is going to cause that light to go off. This is vapor blasted, but you can also do a polishing method where you put an actual polish and you high-speed buff this and turn it into a mirror and shine. Either way, you're going to get the same level of functionality. So let's take a look and see what it'll take to actually vapor blast one of these throttle body housings. Brake parts cleaner. We're going to be replacing these with T15 M4 by 7.0 set screws that are used for tool sets on lathe machines. So this is what it looks like with all the parts that are ready to go for installation. Now let's vapor hone the other 2 pieces. Vapor blasting with the Weekend Warrior from Vapor Honing Technologies. This is going to get blasted, and so is this, for a nice sheen. It takes just about 20 to 25 minutes to fully blast one of these guys to a pretty good sheen and get all the dirt out. What I found is that using a blind bearing puller to remove these is really difficult. The cage on these is really difficult to remove. It's really pressed into that aluminum housing. So I decided to use a Dremel to carefully cut out the edge of the casing. And that allowed me to get a nice, good quality head of a screwdriver in to remove the rest of the cage inside and all those needle bearings. And they kind of just come out. It's a bit messy, but they do come out. And then I continue to use the angle grinder to grind away at the very thin cage. And as I'm grinding away,
I'm looking intermittently to see how much of that cage has worn through, and you can see right there that there's a little spot where the aluminum does show through. So I continue to iteratively go back and curve away at that cage until more and more of that aluminum does show through. And you can see right there that all that aluminum shows, and that allows you to push the cage in, use expanding pliers to at least move it around, and then you can use regular pliers and it just pulls right out. Now that actually does work pretty well, and it does leave a little bit of a burr inside of the housing. And in order to fix that, you clean it up really, really good before installing the new bearing. Now these bearings that we have, these new HKs, are thinner. As you can see, they're not the 12 millimeter thickness like the new ones are. They're only 10 millimeter, and that's because it's an O-ring. It's a 10 millimeter by 12 millimeter by 10 millimeter by 2 millimeter O-ring. And those O-rings actually do three different things. They prevent FOD, they allow functionality, and it is supposed to reduce friction. So when you put that in there, you're actually functioning as a factory needle bearing with the O-rings already installed. So when you install that first O-ring, you then need to use a little bit of professional RTV that you put right in that little burr that you made. And when you put the new bearing in, you're ensuring that there's no air that's allowed to escape through the outside of the casing to the aluminum enclosure. And when you carefully push the new bearing in with that RTV there, you'll find that it does do a really good job of sealing it. So combined with the O-ring and the RTV, you've got a really good seal there that looks, operates, and functions like factory. And then we use some silicone brake lubricant. It's just a silicone type of lubricant. We use a Q-tip to apply it into the race and work the new lubricant into those needle bearings, and of course the O-ring as well. And this is another method of pushing in the bearings, especially when the bearing is not blind. You use just like an 11 millimeter socket for those 12 millimeter bearings, the ones on the actual selector shaft. And then it's just kind of lather, rinse, and repeat for all these. And when you install them, just iteratively go back and forth, put the spring in, take it out, make sure everything is moving smoothly. You want to lubricate the shaft as well, and just make sure that everything is installing in the correct location. The shims are being installed where they were before. You're not adjusting that set screw. And when you pull this, you want to make sure that there's no encumbrance on the initial takeoff when you pull it, making sure that it's fully bottoming out on that set screw that you did not change.
Brand new. These are HK0810s, 8 millimeter shaft, 10 millimeter wide, and here are HK1210s, 12 millimeter shaft, 10 millimeters wide. Now the 10 millimeter version has every other throttle body actuator, so there's 3 of these total. There are 2 of these per throttle actuator times 6, so there's 12 bearings of this 8 millimeter size that need to be replaced as well. So it is quite labor intensive to replace these, but it is typically the cause of VML lights, and cleaning them makes them look all the better. Vapor blasting them and zinc coating them really puts the final touches on it and makes this a really nice assembly.